Howdy folks, it's Nathan again. Tonight we're going to be making some filet mignon de resto tenderloin, brought to you by Provigo again. Always a good place to shop and stuff, my friends. So we're not going to do the same thing as my previous thing. This week we are actually going to make sure that the diapers are off again, because last week it was kind of a bit of a fiasco, so there's one taken out. And we have a second one, filet mignon, to go. Preheat at whatever, medium, just over. Again, make sure that you're taking off the little derriere thing. Hey kitty cat, how are you? Hey little princess. My kitty cat came over to see what I was up to. Again, so we have like some nice, they're gonna thin out well. I've already pre-cut some of the vegetables because it does take a bit of time to do, and I didn't want to spend like 5 hours making a video for my friendly folks who might want to see what I can make on a weekend with steaks wise. So carrots, I've already pre-cut them, a few of them to show you. I've actually cut them into like long strips, as you can see. I've also taken the liberty of like taking red potatoes, cut them as well, kind of like fries, I guess. They're gonna fry up well and stuff. I'm trying to make something that's kind of like all in one skillet, so that it doesn't take more than like 10 or 20 minutes to make and stuff. Otherwise, we're gonna be really bored, and I don't want to take up your time. So this is already done. What we do is you're gonna slice it like into like chunks and stuff. Cut down the center with your handy vegetable cutter, or whatever this is called, a knife, and you're gonna slice them lengthwise again until you get like down to about that kind of a size, which is really groovy. And then after that, you're gonna do the same thing with your potatoes. You're gonna cut them in half, slice down the length of the potato, kind of like you're going to do French fries, and always cut them on the diagonal again until you get them to like the size that you want, to like French fry size. And again, once you have them on the side, it's easier just to like cut them into like the thin little strips that we want, because that's going to fry up rather well and stuff. And speaking of frying, now is the time to actually put oil into the thinger. So we've added a little bit more. And our handy dandy magic pantry has some Crisco. Woo, Crisco, everybody loves that. I think in the 70s they used to have Crisco parties, if I remember well. And I think that was along the same lines as when they used to have key parties and stuff, where you stick all your keys in a bowl, and when you get hammered and stuff, you take out a key at random, and that's the person that you're going to boink and stuff. Disco parties. Yay, key parties and disco parties and Crisco parties and stuff and all that fun stuff. So once you have that in, again, our handy dandy Rachel Ray from Walmart. Yay, she always has good products. Buy Walmart, Rachel Ray. And that'll be groovy. So now that's heating up. What you're going to do first is you're going to add in the potatoes, because that one is the longest to do. And careful not to burn yourselves, because the potatoes are a little bit like, they take actually like about longer to cook than, or to soften, than the steaks will take to cook, because these are pretty thin, right? So what we're going to do is wait for that for a little bit. I've also like going to prepare white onion. For this one, all you have to do is like just basically what I wanted to do was cut them into ringlets. Make them like a nice size ringlet, because that way like it's going to place well over the steak. They soften up well. Don't forget to take off the round white part, or whatever part, the skin. I'm going to do like a couple of them, because that looks good on the plate. Which reminds me, we have to take out the plates for presentation, because that's going to be really pretty. That way you know what you're going to have when you come over and stuff, and it looks like presentable and all that stuff. So mind your heads, I'm going to reach over you and get some of these like handy dandy big loud black plates prepared. And yeah, so these are nice sized. Don't forget to take off the skin. I'm going to do like another couple more because I want them to, I want to have a few on the plate because it browns nicely. At this point, you're going to be wanting to look at your, give it a shake. And at this point, you're going to put your carrots in because, again, the carrots are a little bit stockier than the steaks themselves. And the reason I use a skillet is because I don't want to make a lot of like unnecessary dishes afterwards. Not that I'm lazy, but I don't particularly enjoy doing the dish part of life. So we don't have a budget for this, and it's not a show, so I don't have people who I can just walk away from who go like, cut, and then they have other people do shit. I've also got some celeries prepared, pre-cut or whatever. What I'm going to do is, because I like them kind of like when you're cooking like chow mein or whatever it is, I want to cut them like at an angle so that they look pretty groovy, and it takes up a lot of good space in there and stuff like that, and it looks good on the plate as well too. So like cutting them like this is really, really groovy. It looks better, tastes better, looks chunkier, and it fills up the plate nicely. And while that's doing that, we're going to, because these are green veggies, we're going to stick this in right now. We need our handy spatula and stuff. You just toss these things aside a little bit. So you can hear that they're like already starting to do something. Probably want to like just poke it a little bit to see if it's actually cooking nicely. And I can see that they are cooking nicely. They're actually starting to brown. Light fries, if you can like steal one here. Nice and golden on one side. Better than McDonald's because these are not made from like reconstituted potatoes. Reconstituted as meaning that they've dehydrated them, turned them into powder, squished them through fingers to make them look like fries, and then they get frozen, and they get dumped off at your local McDonald's, and then they just throw them in bag things. These are real potatoes made from real people, grown here in Quebec. Quebec product. I don't know where the carrots are from, but I hadn't had time to actually read the label thing, but once you can see that they're starting to like, oops, there goes one, he ran away. See, that one is actually softened, so this is a good time to add in the meat. Toss everything into the brown part. You're going to add in your filet mignon, your tenderloin. We have space in here for all three, which is very, very groovy. These have been pre-thawed, and I think there's two here, but nope, that's all one. So this is actually going to start juicing out together. At this point, what we're going to do is we're going to throw in a couple of the celeries, because then that's going to soften at the same time as the carrots and stuff with the heat. It's kind of like doing like a sauteed vegetables or whatever you call it. When you throw everything into a big wok, all that heat's going to like make everything go groovy and juice out, and that way you don't have to spend as much time flavoring the whatever it's called. Anyways, it's going to do something. So it's starting to actually smell groovy. And this is some good house red wine. You can buy them by the box at any SAQ, Société d'Alcool de Quebec outlet. Doesn't that just taste grand, my friend? And then you've had like your hand on meat and stuff like that, so we're going to do another wash. Do another dry. And we're going to clean that up later. There's still a couple here. This can actually get put aside. These things are for throw out. All this stuff can actually be thrown out while we're waiting for that to happen. more space in the sink and all that fun glorious stuff, and then that means I get to wash my hands again, because that's really lame if you're cooking and ample time to like start cutting up the mushrooms right now. They're beautiful white, whole white from Highline mushrooms. I think they're in Canadian grown, so they're from somewhere in Canada. But they're nice. And usually I just like to cut them in half, because like when you cut them in half and stuff, they're still good and plump and stuff, and like you don't want them to soften up too much. If they're actually too thick, maybe just like give them a quick cut in the quarter size, because that always looks better and stuff on the plate. And we're going to wait till we can turn before we add the mushrooms, because the mushrooms are actually going to start going fast. Like they cook really easily and stuff. That's why I love them that way. And like even if they don't cook all the way through, like they're not all soft and stuff like that, like it's like having them in your salad and stuff like that. You can have them half raw and stuff like that, and they're always very, very festive. So we have enough of this. So let's go ahead and turn these babies over once we add in the mushrooms. That'll be like really, really groovy. You can actually start smelling the steak fingers. So we're going to go and hurry up and turn them over and stuff. Never, ever, ever do it like what I'm doing right now. Never use a fork in a thing, but I'm being really careful. You never use fork or metal of any type with Teflon, because if you scratch it, then that sucks. So then just use this to push them in a little bit. Some people actually, at this point, you can actually, if you have like a penchant for soy, you can actually add in the soy. That'll help like give another added flavor to your fillets, to your steaks or whatever. But we'll let that do that for a little bit. Make sure that like all places of the meat are touching, so that I don't really like stuff that's bleeding very much with my steaks and stuff. So give it a quick shake, and there we go, and that's ready. I always rinse. Keep that there. And then we do this. Oh, and we have these little handy things called boxes of wine. That way, like, you're always close in the kitchen, especially when you have friends over and stuff. These are really, really handy. They're not too expensive. They fit slimly into your fridge. I'm sure a lot of people who have parties and stuff, you've seen these little things. Now would be a good time to add in some of the spice, because like now it's almost ready. This is your Montreal spice. It's very handy for steaks and stuff, and it always smells groovy. So give that a big douse. I always like to turn it over, and actually we're going to add a bit of cracked pepper. This is cracked black pepper. Always very festive and stuff, and it always gives like a very awesome like little kick to any steak. I don't usually have salt and pepper in the household because I don't really like it all that much. Good time to add your onions. This will really soften it up. And because like it's not really a time issue or nothing, like people love onions and stuff like that. Onion rings, anything like that. Flip it over again, because then you're going to be, you can keep the heat going and stuff like that, but you're going to want to like have like some of the spice on the underside too, because everybody likes that. And that gives time for your vegetables to like cook a little bit more. Some people like what it's called like al dente, where like you can still feel the crispness of your vegetables. This is what basically is right now. Like the vegetables aren't so soft that they're going to break apart, but they're still like firm enough so that like they're appetizing, like when you have them in your mouth and stuff. Once you have them on your plate, and then your friends are over and stuff, and they're all like talking and being festive and all that. This is their Montreal steak spice. It's very, oh actually this is Montreal chicken spice. I took the wrong one out, but it doesn't matter, it's still President's Choice, very inexpensive. You can find it in any of your local grocery marts. Ding! Anyways, so we put a bit of that in. Don't forget like your black pepper on the back side too. Give it a quick shake. This is almost all ready to enjoy, and I'm sure like some people here in the household are getting hungry on the other side and eager for me, and you're probably eager for me to get off the video and stuff, so we're going to make it as nice and pretty. You also get some nice colors in your skillet, like look at that, you have white, you have orange, you have your mushrooms, you have like your green celeries, you have your starchy potatoes and stuff like that. Excellent array for your dish. Now let's put this onto a plate real quick while everything's looking nice and tasty. You can actually smell, like if this was smell-o-vision, you would have like some pretty fun smells on it. And we're going to give this actually one more flip, just because it's making some kind of juices, which means like, because there is one that's bigger in here than the other ones, so we're just going to let that one pump out a little bit. We have a plate here all prepared. Let's get the celery out of the way, let's get the mushrooms out of the way. Let's get one of the plates set up for here. We did forget one of the onions, but that's not bad. See, like even the onions at this point have had time to soften up and stuff. Your mushrooms are nicely like glazed, and the potatoes are actually looking nice and groovy. Word of the day, folks, if you can get away with saying groovy 5 times in an afternoon, that rocks. That's very cool. So here we have it, folks. Put that onto the wood cutter board. Let's take out one of these babies and present it onto the plate. And that's all groovy. Now you can probably hear me a little bit better. We have like some of our onion rings here, which are very cool because they're not fried, battered, or anything like that and stuff. Never batter your vegetables because they'll probably bring you to court. They'll like throw you with a lawsuit. Battery is not a good thing for onions or French fries. Battered fries and fries, or fries and onions. So this is like and it looks really, really cool. Let's add a little bit more just so that it looks really awesome on the plate. So you have your fries, you have like your veggies, you have like a little bit of your mushrooms and stuff, and it looks awesome. And if you were here right now, you would be having this. Have a groovy day, friends, and stay out of trouble, go to school, get a job. Have a groovy day, folks.